Hey, seventh graders, it's Mrs. Antos. Before we get started on our new lesson for today, I wanted to go over a few problems from 9.1. So the stuff you already turned in, I kind of looked at it. I looked at all the problems, and it seems like the last few problems, 21 through 24, may have given a couple of you a little bit of problems. So I want to go through those problems with you so you know what to do. These problems were nothing more than an algebra problem. So let's go ahead and take a look. All four of those problems give you one clue to the problem, and then you had to find out the missing pieces, so the missing measurements. So in the first one, we don't know what the radius or the diameter is, but we know that the circumference is 17.8. So I'm going to use my formula for circumference of a circle, and I'm going to use the diameter one. So we know the circumference equals pi times diameter. Okay, so I'm going to plug in what I know, and then I'm going to solve for my unknown variable, which in this case is diameter. So I'm going to plug in 17.8 for circumference, and I'm going to go ahead and use 3.14 for pi. Okay. Again, if you have a calculator that has a pi button, you can just hit the pi button instead, whatever works for you, but let's just use 3.14. So now, to solve for diameter, this is 3.14 times diameter. So the inverse operation would be division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3.14. I'm going to use a calculator, but I end up with 2.8. Oh, I'm sorry, that's my radius. I'm sorry, guys. Diameter is 5.7. Okay, if I take 17.8 divided by 3.14, I get 5.7. Now, to find the radius is simply half of the diameter. So I'm just going to take my diameter and divide it by 2. So 5.7 divided by 2 gives me 2.8. So 2.8 is my radius. Okay, so that's how you do 21. I like all of these problems because they all approach this kind of unknown variable in different ways. So if we look at 22, 22 gives you the radius, does not give you the diameter, does not give you the circumference. This one is fantastic because guess what? You already have the radius. So we know that the diameter is 2 times our radius. So we can simply just take 2 times 6.7, and that gives us a diameter of 13.4. And I believe the unit was yards for this. Yep. Okay, now to find the circumference, I can use either my diameter or my radius, doesn't matter. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do 2 pi r. That's different from the last example, so switch it around. So I'm going to find my circumference by plugging in 3.14 for pi, and then plugging in 6.7 for my radius. Again, I'm going to use a calculator here, and I'll end up with 42.1 yards. I'm sorry, I'm a little stuffy, guys. I think the guinea pigs are getting to me. Okay, next one is 23. 23 is kind of similar to 22 because in 22 we had the radius, did not have the diameter or the circumference. Now we have the diameter, but we don't have the radius or the circumference. So we're going to do very similar work here. If I take my diameter and divide it by 2, that gives me my radius. So I'm going to take 10.6, divide it by 2, and I get 5.3. That is my radius. Okay, then again, I can use either formula. Circumference equals pi times diameter. I'm going to go with that one just for the heck of it. I could also do circumference equals 2 times pi times radius. Doesn't matter. Either way, you'll get the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to plug and chug 3.14 times my diameter of 10.6, and I get a circumference of 33.3, and the unit was inches. Did not write that down. Don't be like Mrs. Antos. Write down the unit. Okay, I got a lot of question marks for answers on number 24. This is so beautiful. Just wait until you see this, and then you're going to kick yourself. You're going to say, oh man, I could have done that. Okay, so I know nothing except that my circumference is equal to pi. Okay, so write down your formula. Circumference equals pi times diameter. This is part of the formula. This is not. This is a value. Remember, don't forget, pi is just a number. Okay, it's not a variable. It's not a sign. It is a number. It's 3.14, blah, 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 blah. So you just treat it as a number. All right. I am going to replace my circumference with its value of pi. So my formula now looks like pi equals pi times diameter. Oh, this is fantastic. I love this so much. So when you divide, well, first of all, we want to get d by itself, or diameter. So we have to divide both sides by pi. Over here we get d on the right side, which is what we want. These guys cross out. What do we know about a number divided by itself? It equals 1. So our diameter equals 1. Isn't that fantastic? There's no unit on this one because they didn't give us a unit. The answer is just 1 for diameter. Now for radius equals half of the diameter. So 1 divided by 2 is just 1/2. Our radius is 1/2. Isn't that splendid? I just love that problem so much. Okay, hopefully that clears anything up for 7. I'm sorry, I keep saying chapter 7. I don't know why. 9.1. And if you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.